What is going on, everyone? Leon checking in, and we're at it again with another video. In today's video, we'll be unboxing and reviewing the VRCover Fitness Facial Interface, the Halo controller covers, and the Disposable Hygiene covers. Now, this video is featured on the Oculus MetaQuest playlist, so you can find information related to this topic quickly and easily. And as always, we only feature products or services I buy, use, or am interested in. On that note, these products were sent to us for this unboxing and review. Now, you can find these items and related items at the Amazon storefront link in the description below. All things said, let's go ahead and get into it. So here we are with the facial interface set that came in multiple packages for me. The first package, which houses the fitness facial interface, comes in a Tupperware design. Although it closes securely, it can be easily crushed, but it's a good storage solution. Opening the container, we can get an inside view of the contents. These included the fitness facial interface with silicone nose guard, lens cover, and product information. My kit also came with a cleaning cloth. Now, interesting note, my silicone nose guard came pre-installed on the fitness facial interface, and removal is simple. Simply pull on the silicone nose guard and it pulls right off, and this allows for wipe-in or easy washing. And reinstallation is simple. Simply guide it onto the pins that are on the fitness facial interface, which we will try to demonstrate in the video here, and then press it into place, and that completes installation. And speaking of the fitness facial interface, you can see that we have vents at the top of the unit as well as the bottom, and this should help prevent fogging and keep it in check by allowing warm air to escape out of the top, as you can imagine, and cooler air to be pulled through the bottom. Then we have an angled design which should reduce light bleeding for a more immersive experience, which is a problem with the stock foam. Smaller details include VRCover branding on the front as well as Velcro on the rear of the unit for receiving foam. And speaking of foam, we have the 3 PU leather replacements. We have minimal, standard, and comfort, all of which feature a VRCover branding tag on the rear. And here's another interesting note. Minimal and standard appear to be the same at first glance. Of course, they both have a similar shape, and padding is about the same thickness, but the difference is going to be between the thickness of the legs that you see here. Now, minimal is going to have a thinner leg, and standard is going to have a thicker leg, which can be hard to tell on camera. Next, we can select a pad to install on the fitness facial interface, and as for me, I'm going with comfort because that's the one that I tried that seemed to work the best for me. And you might have to take your time installing this. You want to make sure that it aligns centered on the fitness facial interface. You may have to peel up or push on this pad a little bit to make sure that you have it properly seated against the interface itself. And again, this is held on with Velcro. It holds securely, but it's also easy to peel off if you want to rinse it or wash it. And I'm going to guide it back in place here for this video. Again, I'm going to press it into place, make sure it's fully seated, and that would be the installation of this padding on the interface. Now, before we move the stock facial interface, I wanted to mention a con to it. So, of course, you have this sponge material if you aren't using a silicone cover, and that essentially acts like a sweat sponge. It's kind of disgusting, let's be honest. But if you are using these silicone covers, you know they're also a hassle to work with. You have to place them on the sponge, you have to line them up perfectly, and sometimes they just don't seat all that well, which is what's going to make this fitness facial interface a better upgrade. It's going to be easier to remove this padding, to rinse it off, to clean it, and stick it back on. But moving on, let's go ahead and remove that facial interface. We're just going to pull on it. And I get a question about this in the videos. It, makes people feel a little bit worried that it might crack or break off, but I've removed these quite a lot and haven't had any issues. Now, before we can install our fitness facial interface, we have to install our strap first. And here I have a Kiwi Design replaceable head strap, which installs easily. As for the arms, it just clicks into place. And then we have the head strap. I get a lot of questions about this head strap too in regards to feeding it through this little window here. There really are no tips or shortcuts. Really all you can do is take your time, feed it through. Of course it gets caught on this lip of the headset itself. That's what makes it a little more challenging. But once it starts to go through, no problems there whatsoever. But regarding this strap, it's very comfortable and it has a nice fit wheel. Now once the strap is installed, I like to lift up on it, get the back portion out of the way. That gives us a clear access to the facial interface. And we could take our fitness facial interface, drop it right in place there. And then we're going to press on it. We should get a click. So you can see we got a click there, another click there. You want to get that click and then you want to press around on the facial interface, make sure that it's fully seated. You can also tug up on it a little bit, make sure that it's fully seated. As for the sides, there will be a little bit of play here, but that's normal. But that completes installation of the fitness facial interface on the Quest 2. Now, one of the things that's interesting here is you can see this padding for the fitness facial interface. It doesn't go all the way around like the foam padding on a stock interface. And what I've noticed about this is there is a little bit of light that comes through at the bottom here where your nose would sit in this area. And I have mixed feelings about this. Now, of course, that light, it isn't a lot. It's not a huge burden. It's not extremely noticeable. You have to look down if you're wearing a nice strap and actually focus on it to see it. But I do kind of like being able to see a little bit of my outside environment here. Gives me an idea of where I am in the room, even though I'm in my virtual reality experience. That being said, again, we have a little bit of light coming through here. So it's not going to be extremely 100% immersive, but it's going to be pretty close. A little bit of light bleeding here at the bottom is to be expected. But when it comes to this overall kit for light bleeding, I can say with confidence I didn't have any light bleeding along the edges here. Now, of course, this is because of this thick padding, but I also believe you have to have a good strap as well. And the other thing to keep in mind about having a little bit of light bleed in here at the bottom is, of course, there's going to be a gap there, but that should help pull in cooler air as well to help with preventing fogging of the lenses. And then when it comes to fogging of the lenses, again, we have these vents here at the top and at the bottom. You could see them there. And these work really well. Now, I did notice the lenses were trying to fog, but there was a barely noticeable amount. It was just a tiny hint. You could tell that it was really trying to work its way in there. But these vents, I believe, did help out a lot. And I performed a 35-minute intense exercise routine in virtual reality. That means that I was sweating like crazy, and these didn't fog up. Again, we had just a little hint of fogging, but nothing that prevented me from playing. Again, you had to really look for it. So this actually works really well in that regards. And finally, we have the lens cover, which will drop into this area here and then press into place. It's going to sit nicely. You got to work it in a little bit. And then we have these flaps from the silicone nose guard. They could sit right underneath. And if you want it to look a little cleaner, you can tuck the little flaps from the silicone nose guard underneath the lens cover as well. But you can see that we get good coverage there. That's going to protect those lenses from the sun and from dust so that they don't get damaged. Next, we have the VRCover Halo Controller Protector Set. Contents include the protectors and product information. These covers are made from TPU, which is a flexible and slightly stretchable material, which simplifies installation and removal and allows for easy cleaning. You can see these controller covers also come with large holes, which create a unique look, but it's also functional because it's supposed to help in reducing tracking issues. Now, one of the things I like most about these Halo controller protectors is the fact that they can be used with controller grips. Now, of course, fit will be very snug here, and the protectors won't fit perfectly flush when used with a grip. However, it should fit very precise using the controllers without grips. And as for tracking issues, when it comes to reviews, there is a mention of tracking issues when using these, but I didn't notice any issues personally. And finally, we have the disposable hygiene covers with instructions, and these are going to be useful if you share your Quest 2 with other people. And then we have application, and we're going to use the stock user interface for this because this doesn't have a protective silicone layer that can be removed and rinsed off easily. Instead, we have just this foam which acts as a literal sweat sponge. Again, just pretty disgusting to even think about, but perfect for this situation. So we are going to lay this down just like so, and we're going to take one of our disposable covers that you see here. We are going to peel off the material, and that's going to expose the adhesive, and we're going to have it there at the top as well as the bottom. Peel that off. We've got some good ASMR action for you there if that's what you're into. And then we are going to lay this on top just like so. I'm going to start with the top portion here because I feel like that would be the easiest to guide on. And I will say this is the first time I'm doing this, so this might not be so easy. I'm going to just press that into place there, and then we are going to kind of wrap around here. So now I got this pressed into place, and then we would just push this interface back into our Quest 2, and it would be good to use. And then once it's all sweaty and contaminated, we could go ahead and remove it. And then we could just toss it in the garbage, and the next player would be ready for a new one. So that is it for today's video. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, please leave a like. If you're watching on YouTube and have any questions or comments, as always, drop those down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Now, there are 3 ways you can support the content. The first way is to click on the Amazon storefront link in the description below. There you'll find items that I have bought or would buy, and anything you buy from the storefront does support the content. The next way you can show your support is just by sharing this video with someone who might enjoy it or find it useful. And the last way you can show your support is just by clicking the subscribe button. Now, liking and subscribing are important because those are your ways to vote on if you like the content. Liking and subscribing are also important for new viewers and listeners. If new viewers and listeners see likes and subscribers, they're going to think that the content is helpful, worth watching, and listening to. As always, thanks for watching, and may the universe flow in your favor. And until next time, Leon checking out. Yeah.